You've changed your settings, you've watched the videos, and you have done countless hours of terrorist hunt. But your aim still looks like mine? No worries, that's what this series is about. I'm going to teach you my tips and tricks on how I still get MVP and have fun in this game, even with really bad potato aim. Stay tuned. Hey, what's up everyone? Gaming Mom 82 here, and on today's episode of Bad Aim No Problem, we're going to be going over the map house. If you've been following along on this series, I've thrown some timestamps in for you so you can skip ahead. And if you're new, welcome, and let's get started with those tips. So the first golden rule I start all my videos with is my 80-20 rule. If this is your first time here, what I mean by 80-20 is that humans are creatures of habit, and you can use it to your advantage. For example, you're attacking, you're rushing objective, you get spawn peeked from a window. 80% of the time, on round 2, they're going to spawn peek you again, probably from the same window. If you're on defense, the enemy team rushes in. You hardly have time to even figure out what's going on. Well, odds are on round 2, they're going to do that again. So you can modify and use their habits against them, from where they spawn, to the characters they picked, to where they even place drones. People are very predictable, and I use it to my advantage all the time. So on that note, let's get started with the defense side of things, beginning with our operators and then into our objectives. I choose operators that are either trap or information operators, just give me that little bit of a heads up. And those operators are Frost, Ella, Legion, Capcan, Malusi, and Alibi. So when it comes to house on Rainbow Six Siege, if objective isn't in game room or garage, I will always come up and I will focus on these 3 windows. Now, I focus on these 3 windows because for whatever reason, with my 80-20 rule, people are drawn to them like a moth to a flame. I don't know why, but I love that they are because I can take advantage of it. The next tip I want to give you is that I want you to shoot the floor before you put your traps down, if it is a destructible floor. And in this case, with the 3 windows, 2 of them are. So shoot the floor and then go downstairs, because I always play in the dining room area no matter where the objective is. Doesn't matter if it's game room, doesn't matter if it's garage. I always play the dining room area. What? So, little side note, the reason that I always choose to defend dining is because I find it's the most universal camping spot. If there's a fuse and we're in garage, he's gonna come up here. If it's upstairs, people are gonna come in through potentially the downstairs. If it's game room, I can easily flank that direction and hear sound cues. So I always camp here, and that is where I always start my rounds when I'm on defense. Okay, back to the tutorial. So if you shoot holes through, it gives you a cheeky advantage, especially like for me, I prefer, if you haven't noticed, Frost a lot. So when somebody comes in and I get that cue that they're in my Frost trap, rather than having to possibly do a gunfight on red stairs because their teammate is there, I can just go to the ceiling where I've shot through for my visual cue and shoot up and finish them off. It's a simple, cheeky way to avoid gunfights and get quick kills. Just a quick disclaimer, I understand that Rainbow Six Siege should not be about and isn't about avoiding gunfights. I'm just putting this out there for people that either have really bad mechanical skills like me, or even new players that aren't sure about the map. That's what my tips and tricks are being focused on. So just putting that out there. All right, so now if the objective is in game room. If it's in game room, I focus on the 2 windows and putting my traps on, and also the little nook in by the game machine. I find when people do get into objective, they tend to plant themselves there and hold angles. So I always just throw a trap there just for the heck of it. Now, when it comes to game room as well, when you put your trap down, you can actually shoot the floor, but you can also shoot the ceiling above you, because it's on the main level and both the ceiling and the floor in game room are destructible. So this way you actually get a choice on what angle you're most comfortable with. Granted, I usually base my decision on where the rest of my team is so we can have as many areas covered as possible. And last but certainly not least is garage. Garage is probably my favorite objective to defend, and I usually don't go with frost on this one. Though granted, you can still do frost. The floor is destructible, makes fuse a nightmare, but you can still do the visual cue to be able to use frost. I personally lean towards alibi if I'm doing a solo, or Valkyrie if I have somebody I'm working with a team. I will go upstairs and make sure when you do have alibi that you have your grenades, and you take out the hatch, you blow out the window. What? The reason we blow out the hatch is so that we can have the opportunity to shoot enemies as they're trying to get into objective, and also that if either we get attacked from above or we need to rush back into objective, we can drop hatch and get into it quickly. And then most importantly, you blow out the floor in office, because I get the cheekiest kills there. Make sure that when you have alibi, you put an alibi, I personally anyways, put an alibi by the door in office, just so I can have another visual cue if an enemy's coming in and I'm distracted. All right, so that about sums up the defense side of things. So just quick recap, the 80-20 rule, pay attention to that first round, see what the enemy team does, because they're probably gonna do it again. As per when you're operators and your choices, for me to be able to enjoy this play with bad mechanical skills, I lean towards trap and information operators, so I get that little bit of heads up. And also, if you can, and if you're comfortable with it, work vertically. Use it against the enemy team. A lot of times they don't understand, especially when you're going to shoot down at them, they don't even recognize that they're getting shot from above or below. So it tends to work really well for me. And without further ado, let's get on to attackers. When it comes for me to pick attacking operators, I lean towards operators that either have a Claymore or have an anti-flank gadget. And those are Thatcher, Thermite, Twitch, IQ, Buck, Capitao, Jackal, Sophia, Maverick, Callie, Zero, then Nomad with her air jabs, and last but not least, Gridlock with her barbed mats. So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to attacking is droning. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record. Every video usually covers it, the importance of it. You have 2 drones, save them. I agree. So where most people are very quick to try to find objectives, to scan people, and granted, Rainbow has changed it now, so scanning people will give everybody collective points, but there's still that habit in everyone's head that they want to get to objective and get the extra points for finding it. Don't fall into that trap if that's what you actually do. What you should be doing, and what I do with my first drone, is I make sure I place it in the room that I'm going to enter. This will save you lots of time, and you're going to need that time as being on an attacking team. The second tip I want to give you when it comes to attacking is when you spawn into the map, just don't move. Give yourself 1 or 2 seconds to see if the enemy team is going to be running out trying to spawn peek you. Also, I never spawn at the front of house. The reason I don't is because everywhere else, like if you spawn in the APC area, you can't, it requires the enemies to run out to get a decent spawn pick off on you. So you usually get the visual cue that an enemy is detected outside. In the front of the house, however, there is a window that they can just sit, camp there, and pick you off as you run around. If you look at the screen, it's that window. I don't know how many times I've seen people, they spawn in and they just run, and they just get picked off. The next thing you want to do is take out the cameras. When it comes to house, there are 2 outside cameras. One in this general area and one in this general area. Make sure that if you're around them, obviously keep an eye open so you're not getting spawn peeked, but take them out. Hey, since we're on cameras, you're gonna wanna take them all out, so let's just take a quick second and go through all the internal ones too, so you can just get her done. There's one in garage, there's one in weight room, there's one in stairs, there's one in main hall, and there's one in kitchen. So there's 5 inside, and you're gonna want to take them out too when and if you come across them. Okay, where was I? Yes, the next tip. So when it comes to entering the building, especially if I'm running solo, I always try to go towards office. I find it's not defended enough. It's an easy way to sneak in. You don't make too much noise. It's a nice little bundled area. Now, obviously, I go with my team. If I need to be a certain operator, or if they need me in a certain way, certain place, Rainbow Six is about teamwork, so I choose that. But on a whole, normally, office is where I enter. Now to objectives. So as you can see on the screen now, I'm just going to go with here. Right now, I'm attacking garage. And shocker, I'm doing it vertically. So I'm going in with Nomad, I'm using her soft breaches, I'm breaching the floor, and I'm trying to get my picks off there. Obviously, when it comes to picking your attacking team and who you go with, you're gonna have to modify. So normally, I always lean towards Nomad or Thermite, unless my team needs me to be something else. So in this case, I was Nomad, so I went and attacked from above. Had I been Thermite though, I would have gone towards for garage door to breach that open for my team. Now, if they're defending game room, you can always go up to the pink room and do the same thing I just showed for garage. But again, just like with the defense where you can work from above and below, you can also go below. There's a hallway and weight room where if you have somebody to drone, as soon as they ping somebody, shoot up the floor. You could just get that sneaky little kill. Another thing that I like to do is when I feel a lot of pressure. So this is kind of generic overall for any objective. What I do is you play kind of a bait and switch. You work with sounds to distract the defense team. And what I mean by that is in this example, I set a Claymore and I'm putting my Thermite down from above. Just in case anybody's going to give me flack for using a Thermite on a soft surface, I completely understand he's a hard breacher. But sometimes you got to be resourceful, and I'm just showing, think outside the box. You can use this, especially if you're under a time pressure and you're the last one left. You know what? Get her done. Okay, back to what I was saying. But then I'm going to repel and come in from below. What I'm going to do is creep upstairs, for instance, to just have that little bit of advantage. I'm going to blow my Thermite. And naturally, the enemies are going to think I'm above. If they go to flank, hopefully they get baited by that lovely little Claymore I set out. What? Speaking of Claymores, try putting one in the drone hole in the front porch to stop people from flanking through kitchen. Or bust out a soft wall, throw it down. Okay, back to the advice. Either way, they think I'm above them, when in reality, I'm right next to them. All right, so let's talk about if objectives on the third floor. The third floor. This lovely little merry-go-round of hallways and objectives. The biggest thing I'm going to say about iffy objectives on the third floor is use your anti-flake devices. When it comes to the third floor, this is why I pick the operators that I do, because I find the third floor the most annoying out of all the objectives. You can be creative, like if you have a Thermite and it's a master, well, obviously Thermite the wall that's next to bathroom. I don't like actually bringing Thermite onto the balcony to get at master, because I find I get just slaughtered from that window right next to it so much. But that aside, you can, obviously you can do that. If it's in car room, you come in through master and you Thermite the wall. If you manage to take control of the first floor, you can always just use the ping system and shoot from below. Really, it's your anti-flanks, smart thinking, and teammates that will get you through. And with that being said, I think it's about time to wrap this video up. Really hope you get to try this stuff out. I hope that it helps. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, comment below and I'll try to help out any way I can. All right, you guys have a great one. Talk to you later.